Hello and welcome to my video today. I'm excited to show you what I've created. I am going to show you my mixed media piece where I use collage, papers, some paints, stamps, ephemera. There's a lot of different stuff that goes into it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know to make more like this. So today I am starting with some collage paper, as you can see, and these are just basic scrapbook papers that I get, actually. Some of them I make from my jelly printing, but these are just from scrapbooks supplies. So I'm just kind of playing around, fitting them on, gluing them down. I'm using a satin medium, a fluid medium. And I like using satin because it doesn't get too glossy right away. I don't love a high gloss. And the matte seems to dull some of the colors of the paint. So I try to go in the middle of the road with satin. So before I start any piece, I always try to think about what colors I'd like to use because I'm not a fan of using all the colors of the rainbow in every piece of artwork. So today I really had in mind to use kind of some pink tones, orange, neutral tones to start with. And this is just me trying to figure out which way I want the paper to go. And I just feel like I can start with that intention of certain colors, and then it kind of changes as I go sometimes. So I did just go ahead quicker than I showed because I recorded something and it did not record. So basically, I just added a layer of paint here. I used like a sage green. You could see it on the right side of the screen. It's a very light color. It's pretty. And just kind of did some drips. And now I'm adding some titanium white. Sometimes I use titanium white, sometimes I use gesso because gesso is just a little lighter, but I did want a heavier, I guess, layer in this. So I'm using the titanium white acrylic. So just spreading it around with my palette knife. I like to paint with a palette knife once in a while because it creates a different texture and different marks, which I like. This is the part of the process where I usually have a little bit of panic, like, oh, geez, what am I doing? What should I do next? And I think that that's a normal part of any creative process, kind of like you're entering into the ugly phase. And what do you do now? So I just try to remember what my goal is, and that is to have fun, just kind of play with color, play with the supplies, enjoy myself, express myself. And I kind of let go of the expectations for it to come out a certain way. I just try to go on how I feel when I look at it. So I like to use colors that excite me and just that I like, and I like using different combinations. So again, I was using the palette knife, and now I'm back in paintbrush with that sage green after putting down kind of a coral and a hot pink. And I'm just kind of moving around the paper, just kind of putting some color down, making a different layer. And here I'm using a stamp with, this is just titanium black acrylic paint. So just putting a stamp layer down, and that dabber that I'm using is actually a makeup sponge. Very easy to use. I always get a little hesitant about using such dark black on my work because it stands out so much to me, and I like to blend my colors in a little more. So I was dabbing off a little bit of it so it's not quite so obvious. And then I went a little lighter here in the corner. So now I'm just adding a little pink border, kind of like a scallop trim. This is a little bit darker of a pink. I realized I wanted it a little darker. So this is like one of those hot pinks. It's a fluorescent pink. And I added it in with a little bit of gesso, just so it's not quite so bright. So then I just added a little to this stamp, kind of moving the color around the piece. This is a 200-pound mixed media paper, so it can handle a lot. It's one of the things I like to do is move the paper around in different perspectives, because then I can see what angle I like and maybe where I want to add things. So here I am just kind of pushing the black a little to the background so it's not quite so obvious sitting on top. So I'm using the white gesso to do that. And then here is my bird that I'm using for today. This is an inkjet print of, it's printed on deli paper. So I have a whole video of that on how to do it in my arsenal of videos. You can look for that. And here I am just adding some marks, breaking up that white, because I have an idea of where I'm going to put the bird. So I'm trying to leave that area a little open so it doesn't take away from the bird, but also create a little bit of a border or space around it. Here's a simple stamp. I'm sorry, a simple stencil. Just kind of adding a little more in. So here I am trying to figure out the bird, where it's going. And then once I do figure out where I like to put it, I generally hold it down while I glue it down with the medium, the satin medium. But again, this is an inkjet print on the deli paper, so I have to be really careful not to smudge it on top. And here is a little color put in. I think that's green gold, and that's on deli paper as well. I feel like deli paper is a great collage tool because it's a little transparent, but it also gives a little pop of color if you want or need it somewhere. And this is the Posca paint marker, just kind of making marks and having fun with it. Here's another piece of that deli paper that print that I made. Just kind of bringing the colors together. And here's my sentiment. I just printed it on deli paper. Kind of went along with that bird. Looks like he's listening to something. Here's some splatters, just some basic titanium white and water. And this is a distress ink, kind of just gives a nice little border. I think it's the Tim Holtz line. It just has that sponge on top so you can just rub it on the edges. I just like giving it a little bit of a border somehow. It makes it feel a little more finished. I'm going in with the Posca paint marker with this. Just making it a little less of a pink blob. And there it is, all the details. You could see a little better close up. This is something I've really enjoyed making, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you like these videos, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would love to see you at another future video. Have a great day.